What if the most advanced simulation of human civilization isn't being built by NASA or SpaceX, but by gamers? For decades, we've looked to government agencies and private aerospace giants to model our future in the stars. We imagine sterile laboratories and billion-dollar supercomputers running calculations for orbital mechanics and life support. But what if the most complex, most ambitious, and perhaps most blueprint for our interstellar future is taking shape not in a lab, but in a digital universe powered by collective imagination? This is the story of Star Citizen, an ambition so vast it stretches the very fabric of technology, economics, and community to their absolute limits, and perhaps beyond. It's a project that asks a profound question. Can a virtual world, built for entertainment, become a meaningful prototype for our reality? Today, we dive deep into how this player-driven universe reflects, and in some startling ways, even predicts, the world we are building, both on Earth and in the digital ether. We'll explore the bleeding-edge technology, the emergent economies, and the complex societies forming within its code. If you have a passion for technology, a fascination with artificial intelligence, or a belief in the power of virtual worlds, then like this video and subscribe to our channel. This story goes far beyond the stars. Let's begin with the foundational pillar upon which this entire endeavor rests: the vision. The goal was never to create just a game, but a universe that feels truly alive. This isn't a static backdrop for players to run through. It's a coherent, functioning reality. Every element, from the largest starship to the smallest cargo container, is governed by a set of consistent, universal rules. Physics isn't a suggestion, it's law. Weather patterns on a distant moon aren't random effects. They are the result of simulated atmospheric conditions that can ground your ship or obscure your vision. Intricate supply chains connect remote mining outposts to bustling industrial hubs, meaning a pirate raid in one system can cause a resource shortage halfway across the galaxy. And it's all underpinned by complex social structures, from corporate hierarchies to planetary governments, that give the universe its political texture. This is the crucial distinction. Star Citizen is not a curated set piece, where every event is scripted by a developer. It is a world designed to evolve, to react, to grow in unpredictable ways, much like our own. The developers build the sandbox. The players, and the systems themselves, build the castles. This leads to the central hook of our investigation. Could this sprawling, chaotic, and breathtakingly ambitious project become humanity's first true digital civilization? A place where culture, law, and history are not just written, but are actively by millions. To achieve such a vision, you need more than just beautiful graphics. You need the technology. Behind the scenes, Star Citizen is powered by a suite of interconnected systems, many of which are borrowed from or inspired by high-end research labs and military-grade simulators. This is where the game ends and the simulation begins. Take any ship. It's not just a model that moves, it's a complex machine. Every single component, from the main power plant to the smallest thruster, is a distinct object in the simulation. It requires power, generates heat, and can be damaged or disabled. A pilot must constantly balance the demands of their shields, weapons, and engines. Push the systems too hard, and you risk overheating and catastrophic failure. Lose your coolers in a fight, and you'll watch helplessly as your ship's functions shut down one by one. Even life support and internal gravity are simulated, meaning a hull breach is not just a visual effect, it's a life-threatening emergency. This depth extends to the artificial intelligence. AI models don't just follow simple paths, they are designed to emulate the behaviors of human pilots, engineers, and traders. They react to their environment, manage their ship's systems, and make tactical decisions based on the situation at hand. And the physics engine is where this all comes together. It allows for feats that are computationally immense, like landing a ship in real time on the deck of a carrier that is itself moving, pitching, and rolling through a planet's atmosphere. The consequences of every action, every collision, and every decision cascade through this intricate network of systems. This isn't play acting, it's virtual engineering. It's no surprise then that major companies in robotics, AI development, and digital infrastructure are already studying platforms like this. They see a powerful environment for training AI, for testing complex robotic interactions, and for simulating the resilience of digital systems before a single line of real-world code is written. If technology is the skeleton of this digital world, then its lifeblood is the economy. Star Citizen aims to create a digital mirror of a real-world market, a place where every single good has an origin, a journey, and a purpose. Resources are not magically spawned in a player's inventory. They must be physically mined from asteroids or planetary surfaces, transported to refineries to be processed into usable materials, manufactured into finished components, and then shipped to markets where they can be sold. Every step of this process is performed by players or sophisticated AI. Crucially, this is not a static system. Supply and demand are not fixed values, they fluctuate dynamically. A player organization that successfully defends a mining route might see the price of that resource drop in nearby systems due to a stable supply. Conversely, a pirate blockade can send prices soaring. These variables are constantly monitored and gently tuned by a team of developers and economists, who are, in effect, conducting one of the largest economic experiments in history. They are observing emergent economic behaviors in a closed system, learning how players value risk, labor, and security. As our own world grapples with the rise of digital currencies, algorithmic trading, and AI-driven economies, this virtual universe becomes an invaluable testbed. It's a laboratory for exploring the dynamics of self-sustaining virtual markets, for understanding how digital assets acquire value, and for modeling economic futures that may one day intersect with our own reality. The lessons learned here about resource management, trade friction, and economic resilience could have profound implications for the meta-economies of tomorrow. But a universe, no matter how well simulated, is empty without inhabitants. This brings us to the heart of Star Citizen, the community. This is society in the stars. With millions of backers, the player base is not just a collection of individuals. They have organized themselves into a staggering array of social structures. There are massive multi-thousand member corporations with formal command structures, logistics departments, and dedicated combat wings. There are emergent governments that lay claim to entire star systems, attempting to impose their own laws and taxes. There are even player-run law enforcement and private security groups who sell their services to protect traders and miners from pirates. Within this framework, the full spectrum of human interaction plays out. Players negotiate complex trade agreements, form strategic alliances to achieve common goals, and, inevitably, sometimes wage war. These are not scripted quests. They are emergent conflicts and collaborations driven by timeless human instincts: ambition, loyalty, greed, and the drive to build something lasting. We see players organizing massive fleet movements that require hundreds of participants to coordinate in real time. We see the rise of player journalists who report on the goings-on of the universe, creating a shared history and culture. This is more than a fan base. It's a functioning digital society. Its members are learning practical skills in leadership, large-scale logistics, strategic planning, and even diplomacy and law. In the nascent age of the Metaverse, Star Citizen stands as a powerful example of how communities can self-organize and create meaning and structure in a purely digital frontier. The lines between the virtual and the physical are blurring, which leads to the project's real-world impact. The technology and methodologies being pioneered in Star Citizen are not confined to the game itself. The advanced motion capture techniques and real-time rendering engines used to create lifelike characters and breathtaking worlds are already informing the next generation of filmmaking and virtual production. The sophisticated weather simulation and procedural generation of planets provide valuable data for climate modeling and geological survey training. Architects and urban planners are using similar rendering technologies to create immersive, walkable previews of future cities, allowing them to test designs and human flow dynamics long before breaking ground. AI researchers are keenly interested, studying how complex NPC populations learn from and adapt to the chaotic, unpredictable behavior of millions of human players. This provides a rich data set for developing more robust and human-like artificial intelligence. And perhaps most significantly, the aerospace and defense industries are watching closely. the ability to simulate incredibly complex, interconnected systems, like a capital ship with its thousands of components and crew, and see how they function or fail under stress, is invaluable. It represents the ultimate digital twin, where a system can exist and be tested virtually before a single piece of hardware is ever built. The principle is clear. Create the blueprint in the digital, perfect it, stress test it, and only then build it in reality. This brings us to the future. If this is what's possible today, what happens next? Imagine a decade from now when these systems have matured. Virtual economies, built on principles of scarcity and production, could begin to interface with real-world blockchain technologies, creating digital assets with verifiable ownership and tangible value. Imagine sophisticated AI agents, trained on years of in-game data, being given autonomy to manage entire interplanetary trade routes, optimizing logistics on a scale no human could comprehend. Imagine a world where your digital citizenship, your reputation, your assets, your history within this universe, carries real weight and becomes a part of your identity. Suddenly, this sprawling project looks less like science fiction and more like a functional prototype for humanity's next era of interaction and commerce. What began as an ambitious game could provide the foundational scaffold for the metaverse, not as a simple social space, but as a functioning, economically viable parallel reality. And in the long term, the lessons learned in building this digital cosmos about systems engineering, closed-loop economies, and community governance could one day guide our actual expansion beyond Earth. Star Citizen isn't just building worlds, it's building possibilities. It is a test case for our digital future, a simulation of our interstellar ambitions. When these virtual worlds inevitably merge more closely with our own, the question is, will we be ready? Thanks for watching. For more deep dives into the intersection of AI, gaming, and technology, subscribe to the channel. The next frontier is already here.